Podcast 107, coming off the heels of a beatdown for the Bulls against the Heat in the play-in game. Probably for the best. They remain in the lottery. A little bit of Bears news. Kyler Gordon re-signed. I think he got an extension, 3 years, 40 million. TJ Edwards, the same thing, 2 years, 20 million. And that was pretty interesting. I don't know if that's hinting anything what they're trying to do. TJ Edwards is probably Poles' best free agent signing. Um, so it's probably nice to get him, keep him going. I like him as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, not a whole lot of news like you were talking about. Bulls got their shit pushed in tonight. Um, like you said, it's probably a good thing though because realistically, they do remain in the lottery.
This is
It
a
is a
decent draft. There's probably like
it's a
seven
deep
guys.
draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the lottery balls can fall anyway. I mean, this is we talked about it last year too. It's the position that they were able to pick, get the number one overall pick for D Rose. It probably will never happen again,
I mean, if
but
you believe in conspiracies, you believe that the league wants the Bulls to be good.
yeah, and I mean,
So
you probably, realistically, maybe a top 10 pick this year. And if you get a top 10 pick this year, it's, you know, uh,
Ron Harper's son's in the draft. He's going to go top three, top five. It'd be nice to get him. There's a couple of guys. So it was nice to see the Bulls finish strong, but um, it's the Bulls always put you in this weird position where we all wanted them to lose, but they've been playing so hard lately that you kind of wanted to see them come out, beat the Heat, and make the playoffs, and you know what I mean, just go and fight. But it, like I said, and you followed up on, it's probably for the best. We want to be in the lottery. The Bulls need to be in the lottery. It's not even a one thing in this factor. The only way to get out of mediocrity is to get a superstar, and you got to draft one. Most of them are lottery picks, and they're not getting a free agent. They're not getting Luka Doncic deals overnight out of nowhere. Like, so they maybe they can go get Embiid, but does that help? Like, I don't know. Zion's going to be on the market. It'll be interesting though. There'll be a few people to trade. The Bulls have some nice younger pieces, like second and third options. Other teams might be interested in, and Kobe White, Bazelis, Giddy if they resign them. I mean, maybe somebody wants
yeah,
Pat
I mean,
Will.
they have a good young support core. They don't have a guy,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like the guy, they don't have one of those yet. And the only way to get those is through the drafts. No, it, you don't get a whole lot of free agent signings coming to Chicago that want
What's
to.
the best one been? Paul Gasol when he was 32. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the Giannis shit and everything else like that, but you can't. I'm not gonna hold my breath.
you can't
Plus
bank on
he's
it. I don't know.
Yeah, plus he's getting up there too. You know what I'm saying? So it just it's one of those where shit happens. We'll figure it out. Hopefully they get a good draft pick and they can go from there. But this week, next Thursday is the NFL draft.
Yes, indeed.
So we did our mock
Oh
drafts.
yeah. See if I got those on the computer real quick.
We did our mock drafts. Also shout outs real quick. Um, so one of our subscribers, my uncle, my uncle Ed, sadly lost his battle with cancer. So I want to give a shout out to my family that's watching. My uncle Ed, he was a big Bears fan. He did subscribe to us. And he did watch us quite a bit. So, you know, it sucks,
Tough.
but
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Ed, another Bears fan, Illinois guy. Um, but he will be missed. R.I.P.
RIP.
So we got up our Tom did 3 rounds. These are our initial mock drafts for with trade backs.
Yeah, with
As
the trade back from you in particular. I see yours did too. You did a
yeah,
lot of trades. Holy
I think
shit.
I did eight, went back to 18, and then I think 41 to 42. I think we're the only. I just think it was all those picks. Um,
Okay, I see what you did.
But Tom looks like he traded back to 21 with the Steelers. That seems to be the consensus. If it's going to happen, that's probably who's going to move up to 10. I
That's
have a
only
sneak.
if Shredder falls.
It should or falls. I have that same sneaky suspicion that somebody might want to come back. I don't think it'll be Pittsburgh though. I really truly think it will be the Giants. I think the Giants are going to end up with Travis Hunter, and then they are going to try and trade back up and get Schroeder or two. But we'll see. I don't. But that seems like the consensus. Who's going to trade up with the Bears at 10 if there is a situation? Maybe if somebody really wants Tyler Warren. There hasn't been a lot of smoke with that, but we'll see. Kenneth Grant in the second round. Trayvon Henderson. We're thinking the same thing right there. If you can see on mine down at the bottom, I got the same thing. Then a safety in the third. I'm thinking something similar for the Bears. I think I'm hoping that the kid from Texas is there. I think he's just a playmaker all over the field. He's got a late round grade for whatever reason. I don't know why. But I really like Tom's. Josh Simmons, I think would be a great pick for the Bears. He comes in, he competes right away with Braxton Jones. He is special. Before the knee injury, he probably would have been a top 10 pick. And worst case scenario, he loses the battle to Braxton Jones, which means Braxton Jones is playing good, and you know what I mean. We either fit him in a guard, or next year we don't sign Braxton Jones and we keep Josh Simmons. That's in a good position to get good quality offensive
Yeah,
tackles.
there's
They don't
there's
grow in
no
trees,
such thing as too many offensive linemen,
especially young
especially
ones like that.
quality.
Yeah, it's quality young guys. So I do think this is that the Bears will make a depth offensive line pick if it's in the first round or the second round. They're going to be drafting a tackle who probably won't. Kenneth Grant at 39. Like I said, I've got the same thing. For whatever reason, in every single mock draft, he's there in the second round. I would bet big money he's not going to be there. Um, I have a I have a big feeling he'll be going somewhere in between like 17 to 25. If I had to guess, I'd bet money he lands. He goes somewhere in there. I just think he's too good. I think if he's there at 39 and the Bears don't pick him, I would be highly upset with Ryan Poles. I think he's an instant playmaker. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. The kid's a freak. Again, I don't see him sliding to 39. And then again, the trend Trayvon Henderson. You probably could throw Judkins in there. Um, I think if we don't take Genty, it would be amazing for us to end up with one of the Ohio State running backs in the second round. I hate Ohio State, but both of those guys can play. And I don't think they're much of a downgrade from Genty or Hampton. Again, I've said a bunch of times I haven't really watched much Hampton. I've seen a lot of Genty. And yes, the kid's a freak. He looks like a stud, 2% body fat, runs a 4.4. He looks like Derrick Henry. But I just don't see the value there. There's a lot of smoke for that, though. Like me and Tom follow everything, and it just seems like all the analysts are talking about that's who the Bears are going to take. And it's just, I hope not. And then on mine, like I said, I traded back and I ended up getting an extra pick in the second, and I got the tackle from Minnesota. Here. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but I think, like I said before, the Bears are taking a tackle in the first or the second round to battle with Braxton Jones and push him and just as a backup, so they're not in the tight position where they have to take. Because let's say Braxton Jones is slightly above average again, that's $25 million. You're going to give him $30 million. Like he's going to get paid. So either we want to push Braxton Jones to be elite or put us in a position where we would hate to lose him, but we're not going to pay him and somebody else can. Then I ended with Scatabo. That'll be another running back, but I just feel like Roshan's out of the mix now for whatever reason. I don't know why. Really hasn't come out to us. Brian Mills from Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame guys are a good fit for us. He's a pass rusher, DT combo. I like it. Isaiah Bond, I know he got some. He visited the Bears. He's also got some. I think he just got a warrant put out for him for sexual assault or something. He probably would have been a second or third round pick if not for that. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. So we'll see. And speaking of that, the kid, did you see the story about the kid from LSU who killed himself? That
Yeah.
was tough. He was probably going to be like a second or third round pick. He killed an old man like a year ago or something in a hit and run, and I'm guessing he figured he was going to get jail time for it. Personally, I don't think he was going to. Nothing crazy, maybe half a year or something. Just because I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong or not, but usually in guys in that situation, they usually give you a little leeway. Henry Ruggs was a little different because he was drunk.
Yeah,
And
you know,
he really relatively got a slap on the wrist as well.
well, that realistically too, there, you know, it kind of goes back to, you know, the kid, the wide receiver that played for like the Bengals or the Browns. I think it was the Bengals or whatever that got like the involuntary vehicular manslaughter charge or whatever. He didn't spend a day in prison.
Yeah.
He pleaded out. You know what I'm saying? And it
Dante
just,
Stallworth hit a guy and killed him, and I think he got like 60 days or something. I'm like, hey.
yeah, like
And
you
again,
know,
I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. I don't know the circumstances, and I'm sure if it's your grandpa who he hit, obviously don't feel.
it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and it's unfortunate to see a kid kill himself. Even though making a mistake, me and Tom made our fair share of mistakes. Nothing obviously that serious, but serious enough. And it sucks to see somebody with such a bright future kill himself. You know what I mean? After one mistake, I think a lot of times situations that arise like that, you I guess either let it kill you or you bounce back from it because. In my experience, like after stuff happened like that, is what gave me the motivation to not do that shit anymore. Um,
Yeah, absolutely,
But yeah,
absolutely.
and then Tom, I don't know if you ever sent me his one with no trade back. I didn't see it, but this
I
is my
sent you
one.
one with no, yeah, I sent
Uh,
you a 3 round with no trade backs.
okay.
But it was the exact same except we picked for mine. So in mine, I realistically had with you know all the big names off the board. You know Johnson and you know uh
Oh yeah, I see it now.
yeah, no, it's fine. You know, with like Johnson off the board and Mason Graham off the board and all the big names and everything off the board, my number 10 pick was going to be Michael Williams anyway.
That's
Um,
who I had at 18.
yeah,
Yeah.
just because they need, you know what I'm saying? They like same thing with the offensive line. You just can never have enough defensive linemen, especially quality. You know, it seems like a Dingbo is going to be, you know, kind of like you know, a kind of like a switcher between edge and defensive tackle. He's going to be playing both positions. You know what I'm saying? So I think having a guy like that, like you know, Mikel Williams out of Georgia is going to be really good for them. Um, so she's gonna shit in her cage. Um, so it's gonna be you know, one of those things where I think at 10 with all the big names off the board, um, you know, they go with that. And then it's literally the same at 39 with Kenneth Grant, 41 with Trayvon Henderson, and then the third round pick was still the safety out of Penn State. And the reason why I had the safety out of Penn State in both my drafts is because I really do think they're going to look at the safety position with the health of Jaquan Brisker kind of you know up and down. We don't really know what's going to go on with that. He did miss you know 8 games or whatever with concussion. You just don't know how many he's going to have. You know what I'm saying? You don't know
Yeah.
when that's going to happen again. And while you know Bayard is a former All Pro, he is getting up there in age as well. So I think they're going to want to you know have some depth back there at safety. So I think safety in the third round would be a good pick for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to get a linebacker in this draft and a safety. We can't leave. I don't think that can get lost in the mix because Brisker's got injury history. Byard's old. So we need to set ourselves up for the future and just in case one of those guys goes down because that's highly likely. For me, we've been talking about it all month. I think if all the big names fall and if the draft kind of dominoes like it seems to be playing out, and either Shador gets drafted or earlier or nobody wants to trade up, I think the Bears go best player available. And I think that will be Will Johnson right there. I like Mikel Williams, and like I said, when we traded back, that's what I think. But I just think, and I know he's a Michigan guy, and if you guys know us, I'm a big Michigan fan, but I think he's Patrick Surtain Jr. Like what he was, the prospect that he was. That's right around where he got drafted. I think he was like the eighth or ninth pick. I think that's who he is. And I know we just re-signed Gordon, but that's up in the air with Tyreek Stevenson. He was a second round pick. He's kind of in the doghouse. He's got a bad taste in his mouth, whether he rebounds or not. I don't think he's a bad football player at all, but we've had injuries at corner, and again, you just can't have enough of these guys. And I think he is elite, and I think him paired with Jalen Johnson would be a nightmare for the future. And then Kenneth Grant, Trayvon Henderson.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
always been
Trayvon.
the consensus
I just
in two
think
or three.
out of everyone in this draft, Trayvon Henderson reminds me of Gibbs the most. And I think that's what people like. People have it in their heads. That's why Warren and Genty Smoke are out there. They're like, oh, that's what the Lions did in their draft. And I was that Ben Johnson or was that the GM? Or was it Dennis Campbell? Like, I don't know who, or Dan Campbell. I don't know who decided that. But I think people haven't made up in their head that he's going to do what they did 2 years ago and draft a tight end, early, or running back with tight end first and second round. And I don't know if that's what our team really, they had to lead offensive line. I just think we've got bigger issues. And I just think
Well,
in this draft in particular, there's just more depth to get a tight end later and a running back later. So it's like
here's my thing. Here's my thing, right? Where this is how I would approach it. Like, okay, if everybody in that room was like, we have to get Ashton Genty. He's by far the best player, and he's the next coming of LaDainian Tomlinson. What you know what I'm saying? If it's a consensus thing, whatever, right? But my whole thing, my look on it is the talent gap between Ashton Genty and Trayvon Henderson or Omarion Hampton, is it really that far compared to the talent gap between Will Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson? Because I like Will Johnson. I really do.
And just like the contract control, it's a premier position where you're just not going to get anybody for cheap who's good.
Exactly.
And you
get that extra year of control with the rookie contract with that 5th-year option.
And I'm in my head, I'm not even thinking of 1-for-1. It's just like, how much better is Scatabo and Swift than Genty, or Judkins and Swift and Genty, or Henderson and Swift and Genty? Like, I know Swift will be with Genty as well, but it's like we don't need one guy to play running back. We could have a committee. So I don't necessarily think we have to put all our eggs in one basket. I don't see the Saquon in Ashton Genty. I don't see Gibbs. I don't see I think he's a good running back. I see like Zeke Elliott. I think he's something like that. Who he had a really good beginning of his career, as a young guy on a good team, but I don't. I think you can get. I mean, DeAndre Swift had a down year last year, but we had a bad online. But he's the year before he went to the Super Bowl with the fucking Eagles, or the year before that he was a 1,000-yard rusher and played in the Super Bowl with the Eagles. And they had a good offensive game. Like, they played good, and they lost, but they didn't play terribly. So we were down on him and we shit on him every week all year, but that's just how it goes when you're playing like shit and we're having a bad year. But I mean, DeAndre Swift is still a pretty serviceable running back, and we're paying him to be such. I just think picking Genty there, I just don't think that's how good football teams move. And I've looked this up, and no contending team has drafted a running back in the top 10. And what the counter would be is, well, contending teams aren't drafting in the top 10. And then you look in historic, like the last 10 years, the Niners and the Eagles have drafted in the top 10 like 4 or more times each, albeit through a trade up or something. But it's like, and they didn't pick a fucking running back. Yes, they have good running backs. What they do is let somebody else prove that they draft young running backs and do it by committee. And then they let somebody else build up a running back and take the risk of drafting running back, and then they go out and get them. And I was beating on the drum for Saquon last year in the offseason, or Derrick Henry or any of those guys, and I would just be more comfortable overpaying Saquon a little than drafting an unknown in a college running back in the top 10. It just doesn't, because like for certain positions, like O-line, worst case scenario, okay, he's a bum. Like, he's even like on a bad day, it's like, okay, he'd be a swing tackle, move him to guard, figure something out. But I just think it's so hit or miss.
The closer and closer we get to the draft, Sean, realistically, like I said, we're 8 days away. The closer and closer we get to that first round of the draft, Pittsburgh doesn't have a starting quarterback on its roster. Aaron Rodgers still hasn't signed. I really feel like, as it gets close to the draft, they're going to start to get a little bit in desperation mode.
I think that he has no choice but to go to the Steelers at this point, though, right? Like, I think that's probably retire.
If he doesn't go, Aaron Rodgers, absolutely, because there's really nowhere else for him to go. But realistically, if Shadur doesn't go 3 to the Giants, which he's not going to, they'd be absolutely stupid to do that. His only other option after 3 before going into the 20s is number 9 at New Orleans. There's that report that Derek Carr is going to be out for the season with a shoulder injury. You know what I'm saying? But the Saints, they may not they may not draft. They might go best player available for them there too.
They're in a tank year anyway. Like whoever they
Exactly.
take.
So
So
realistic and Shedeur, a lot of people, if he didn't have the name that he has, if his dad isn't who he was, and I said this from the very beginning that I thought Shedeur was extremely overrated. I did not see him as a top 10 pick in this draft. I said that months ago. And it's starting to seem like a lot of other experts out there are having him as a mid to late first round grade.
yeah.
So if he doesn't go 9 to the Saints, 21 to the Steelers is about the next fit for him. But I don't
Yeah.
think the Steelers are going to wait because, like you were talking about earlier, with scenarios with the Giants, taking Travis Hunter and trying to trade back into the first round, the Steelers can't wait. Granted that you got Jalen Milroe, they can possibly take their they got Jackson Dart, you could possibly take at 21, but if you're Mike Tomlin and the Steelers and you
Honestly,
boast
if they
the
wanted
pushing
Jalen
ability
Real, I
with
think they
Arthur
would have
Smith,
kept Fields.
you know what I'm saying? Like you have no choice but to trade up. Otherwise, you're going to go into week one with Mason Rudolph, the dude that almost got his head beat in by Myles Garrett as your QB1. Like
Yeah.
you can't do that if you're Mike Tomlin. You just can't.
No. Yeah, I don't know what the Steelers are thinking. I don't know. Maybe they thought that Aaron Rodgers would smartly just take the only decision he really had. I honestly can't believe they let Russ and Justin Fields go. Um, them letting Justin Fields walk makes me think they don't want to really draft anybody in the first round because I think you could have kept Justin Fields. What did he get? 20, 42 for 40? Like, that'd have been not much more than what you're paying a guy in the first round. And he's proven that he won't be the reason you lose the game. He might not be the reason you win, but he'll play mediocrely, and if you play good defense and they block for him, he'll be all right. So I don't know if they wanted to go with a rookie. I feel like they would just stay with Field. I don't know. I think they just thought Aaron Rodgers was going to. I think we all did. Looking at the landscape of the NFL, it seemed like the only logical place Aaron Rodgers could go and realistically have any sort of chance of playing in a playoff game or making a last run. I mean, the only reason he's playing, obviously, is because he wants to do what Peyton Manning did, what Tom Brady did, what Brett Favre did. Like, I mean, even Brett Favre didn't succeed and win the Super Bowl, but he went out, went other places, was successful. I think he wants to do that. And looking at his numbers, he wasn't as bad as people were making it seem. He played pretty good last year. Jets weren't
Yeah,
winning games.
he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't Aaron Rodgers.
No. So I don't. Is he going to retire? Or what? At this point, why wouldn't he have had already? Because he has to deal with so much bullshit. Um, but all right, we gave our little mock draft. I'm sure we'll do one more, or at least talk about it one more time, David, before the draft.
Well, I mean, realistically, I don't know if you're up for it. I mean, I might be a little bit late, but how do you feel about going live on Thursday night during the first round?
When does it start? 7?
7. I won't be home till quarter after.
I mean, yeah, I guess we could do that. At least try and be live. If you're going to be a quarter after, then that'll be before the Bears pick. Their pick, what,
Yeah.
10? What is there, 15, 10 minutes a pick, right?
Yeah.
They usually go the whole time. So, yeah, you got to work before the Bears pick. Yeah, it seems fine to me. I don't see why not. But one last thing. Caleb came out. He did a couple interviews. He was talking about how he was crying. He cried more times than he did after some of the games. Other things like he didn't want to be friends with any NFL players or other NFL quarterbacks, which I do like to hear. And that is one thing where I'm very overly critical of Caleb. I have been in the past, but you don't see him out and about with other guys shooting the shit. He's always out with like DJ Moore or somebody from the team, with what I want to see. And I do like to hear that he's no friends with these guys. They're not buddy buddy. They're not making commercials together, and they're not collabing together for stuff. I mean, he's been on the St. Brown podcast or whatever, but I feel like that's probably just him trying to make a little bit of money. I'm assuming they give him a tip or whatever they get for that shit. But it was just good to see Caleb out talking about that. Um, One of the biggest drafts coming up for the Bears in a very long time, where we really got to hit on this first round pick, or at least trade back and hit on whoever we get, because we need somebody to step in and be to help us win now. Because I think there is no more, like, I know Ben Johnson's a first year coach, but I don't think a losing a season will be very acceptable back to back with Caleb and what we have on the roster.
Yeah, this is we're kind of in that win now mode. We got veterans in place, with the Joe Tooney trade and with the guys like you said that we currently have on the roster. There's no excuse for it. It needs to be a win. We need to have a positive season. Like you hit it
And
right
it
on the head.
starts now.
We need this draft.
Yeah.
Especially if you're picking at 10, your pick at 10 should be a day one immediate starter and an
Yes.
impact starter at that.
Yes.
So,
And
don't
and
try to
I
get
could live with Will Johnson. Really, it's fine if he pushes Braxton Jones, and that really proves to us he's really good. But outside of that, I like maybe Banks. I don't want them to do that, but I guess I would be fine. But I just don't want to get like Warren or Genty, and not because I don't think those guys are good, but it's the same problem I had with drafting Rome Dunze there. They're going to be splitting. They're going to be the backup first of all, and they're going to be splitting touches regardless. Let's say Genty's named the starter. I'm doing air quotes. Swift's still going to get 10 touches a game. Like we pay him, he's a vet. He's more of a third down back. And the same with Warren. We got Komet already. Obviously, I think he is better than Komet at tight end, but I just think Komet is a veteran. He blocks, so he's going to be out there a lot. And maybe we'll do some cool stuff with both of them. But I just no. People always say that, but what team is real like with the Patriots when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez? Like nobody's got a real like.
Detroit ran a lot of two tight end sets last year.
Yes,
A lot
yes.
of two tight end sets last year. So it
I'm
is
not
a
saying it's
staple.
impossible. I'm just saying that's not
Yeah,
the
it is
norm.
a staple in Ben Johnson's offense to run 12 personnel, but at the same time, and that's probably why they haven't gone after like a top tier wide receiver three. If I'm being honest, is because they plan on running a lot of 12, which is fine. But if you're going to run 12 personnel, you do have to have a good second tight end, which kind of
They
has me
say
fearing a little bit that
Poles
maybe
likes to
they
trade
do.
up though. They say Poles wants to trade up that he doesn't like drafting with so many picks. So maybe they either move back up and get Warren later if he falls, or Colson Loveland again, Michigan guy. So call me biased, whatever I want. I personally think he's better than Warren. I think people like Warren because he's just more of a bigger body. He can block a little. He like plays quarterback too. He's really good, run after the catch. But I just think Loveland is more consistent. Warren's only had one really good year. I think Loveland, while he didn't have as good as ever had a good as a season as Warren, just had really no tight end ever really. But I think Colson Loveland's really good. He just played on Michigan, who is a high form, pass the ball 40% of the time team. So he's only getting 5 or 6 targets when on a different. If he was on Penn State, he put up similar gaudy numbers.
Yeah.
All right. That was our little mock draft. We'll do one more. Like I said, Tom wants to do live. So next time you see us, maybe we'll just do a live for the first round of the draft. Um, yeah. So like, follow, subscribe. I don't think I said in the beginning. Now that I just said it now. But please keep liking and follow, subscribing. And one last time, R.I.P. Tom's Uncle Ed. Uh, Lifelong Bears fan, big Chicago guy. So, but I will see you next week, buddy.
See you next week.